find it. Oh, somebody. Okay. 2 seconds. Hold on. Here she is.
Oh, perfect timing.
There I am. Okay.
So we're live, and we have been live for 10 seconds, I noticed, but we had the wonderful and talented Anna Hashizume has joined us, so now we're all here. The Sky Where You Are team, and it really is a team. It has been a team effort, and it's been an amazing experience. My first opera, Jenny O'Connell's first libretto, and we're debuting on October 23rd as part of the Decameron Opera Coalition. And so let's start with Kelly Turpin, who is the director of the opera company and opera theater in Minnesota and Minneapolis, Minnesota, right?
Yes, yeah.
So I'm not there. And neither is Jenny, but everybody else is based in Minnesota. But so tell me a little bit about how you got involved in this project.
Well, we were actually, you and I connected, Maria, when we were doing our virtual production, We Out. So back in July, and it was actually 2 days before the premiere of that I got on this call with the lead producer team for the Decameron Opera Coalition, asking if we would want to be part of this. So feeling overwhelmed with our upcoming premiere, but I was like, we just can't say no to this. Like, this is for such a baby company. I mean, we're not even 3 years old yet. It was an opportunity of a lifetime for us. And we were just honored to be asked in the first place. I didn't even know anyone knew who we were outside of the Twin Cities. We're getting there, but the mission of this coalition, fits so well with what AOT is all about. And, I was told that it was these mini operas that were going to be centered around stories directly from the COVID-19 quarantine. And our work with our community partners throughout this last year, which included Advocates for Human Rights, Violence Free Minnesota, and Women's Advocates, I knew in that first 10 seconds the story that we should tell as part of this. So I was directly inspired by something immediately. As soon as that call ended, I got off and started drafting something. But we had 2 days our libretto was due a week and a half from when they had called. We had no team, obviously, because it was last minute. So yeah, that's when everything kind of, that's those beautiful moments of why I love doing what I do, because everything just aligned perfectly. And the dream team was just there. I'm like, I don't know if anyone else is going to be crazy enough with me to be like, sure, we can do a very first opera commission for AOT, write a story in a week, film it virtually. How the hell are we going to do it? We'll figure it out. It's okay. And it all has to be done in 2 months. Great. And so that's when, Maria and Jenny, I talked to you first. Poor Jenny was on her way to a backpacking trip the next day. So I gave her 12 hours to decide if she wanted to write her very, very first opera libretto. But that's a good thing. We've been friends for so many years since undergrad, so that helps. And then Maria, I had been so affected by your music and just knowing you personally from We Out. And it's like, this is a person I want to build a relationship and continue working with. And then everyone else kind of just perfectly fell into place. It was like I had my dream list and it was like boom, 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 boom. And everyone, that's why I love doing what I do. It's a dream team of people who were fearless in it with me and positive throughout. And as you said, Maria, just an amazing collaboration. So thank you all for doing it. And here we are.
Here we are, yeah. And so Jenny, obviously you were the first one in the relay. I compared it to a relay because I really felt like that's what it was, just handing off the baton. And so had you written something for theater at all? I mean, I know that you were working on a creative nonfiction piece, but had you ever written anything for theater?
Nope. I was a music major at Ithaca College with Kelly and Katie, actually. So I was familiar with opera, and I'd been in some musicals in high school, and but for the past 12 years or so, I've been an outdoor guide, and have really taken a different track toward writing. So a lot of my writing centers around women in the wilderness. And so to have this opportunity kind of fall into my lap was interesting, but it was also at a time in my career when I had been asking myself, like, what else can I be doing as a writer to amplify the causes that really need to be out there? Like, how can I be using my art as a tool for positive change? And so it was really good timing, actually, strangely.
Yeah. So is this something that you think you would do again? I mean, are you now thinking of other things that you'd like to write librettos about? Or is this from right now is just like, wow, what a cool experience? And what do you think?
That's a great question. I would definitely be open to it. I'm working on a longer book project right now. And so honestly, the fact that I had to write this in a week was perfect, because I think if it had been like, if Kelly had been like, all right, we have a month to do this, I would have been like, I have this other project that's taking all my time. I can't. But the fact that it was so quick was actually great for it. And I would definitely consider it. I'm definitely open to it, and excited about the thoughts of what else we could do together.
Yeah, you better be.
Yeah, you don't say no to Kelly Turpin, so I have a feeling I'll be writing some more. But I really enjoyed the process. It was very impactful, and I'm particularly interested in advocacy and places where advocacy and issues that affect women intersect. And so I'd be excited to write more, especially in those realms. But yeah, gotcha. I'm open.
Yay. And then I'm going to go to Katie next, because you guys are all in the same row. And also you all know each other, I guess. I didn't realize that Katie also knew you from college as well. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. And so you got the call, and you were planning an elopement at the time. And so that was a big leap as well. So you were, fearless in all regards. But did you think twice, given the fact you had this momentous thing on your calendar already?
No, not for a second. I had the great pleasure of being in a production of La Boheme with Justin this spring. And that's sort of how Kelly and I reconnected. I was out in Minneapolis for that. And unfortunately, we had to close down the production on March 13th after only our final preview. But it was just enough time to have a couple drinks with Kelly and reconnect and remember how great it is to have community that you knew, especially when you were young, and to grow up and work with them. So honestly, as soon as she said, can you hop on the phone to talk about something? I said, yes, I can. When would you like to talk? And she barely had gotten the pitch out before I said, absolutely, yes. And then I hung up and I went, wow, it's going to be a lot, but it's going to be great. It's going to be great. And I was emailing both of you, and the elopement that I'm now married, and that also came about very quickly. In fact, honestly, I think maybe the decision about eloping only happened a day or two before Kelly pitched this to me. So it all came about around the same time. And I think, like Jenny said, sometimes when great opportunities fall in your lap, you say yes, and I will make it happen. And I know I was emailing you saying, I'm currently at the campsite, because we were trying to quarantine and stay away from people. And I can't sing this loudly, but it sounds beautiful. I can't wait until I can sing it loudly.
Yeah. And I can't say that I made your part particularly easy, trying to make her seem like she was in some distress. I think I was hoping I didn't cause too much actual distress in the soprano.
No, actually, it was such a thrill to get to use those colors and to get to play. And there are some moments that you, Maria, and Jenny, that you guys created together that honestly, not just saying this because it's exciting to get to work with you, just it's the truth, are some of my favorite to have ever sung. That stick in my mind, that pop in when I'm walking around. I just think that there are some moments of real, incredible, honest and genuine emotion that are striking. So I was thrilled. I just had to get out of a campsite to sing it out loud.
Well, I could hear that in your voice. It really was moving to hear you guys do what you did. And so I'm going to go to Anna next, since I'm just kind of going across here. And Anna, you also had to make a decision kind of very quickly to join the project. So and do you guys know each other from before? I said this is your first thing with AOT, though. I read.
Yeah, it is my first thing with AOT. But Kelly and I don't even know where we actually ever met, but we just go back. I mean, the performing community in the Twin Cities is pretty small. So we just had met, and actually Kelly and Sequoia and I all worked front of house at the Southern Theater. So that's how we met. It's just, small community, doing opera choruses with Kelly and Justin. So, but yeah, it was, again, kind of like Katie, it all happened so fast, but I got the call from Kelly and I was like, of course, yes, of course. Knowing how it would go, but also knowing that it would be something that was really impactful in a time when I feel like that's what, we need that now. So.
Well, that issue of, and we've been doing this quarantine lockdown-ish thing for so long, but just knowing that issue is ongoing, that people are stuck, or stuck, and there aren't a lot of resources even to, get a job that would allow you to leave with a little kid. And so, yeah, it was just such a, I mean, that your mind went first of all to that, shows something about you. I see, Kelly, all the productions that you're trying to do, and seeing that, using music and opera to make some sort of difference in the world. So, I was really appreciative of that aspect of things. But I have to say, and I will say, when I wrote your entrance, when you actually do something other than say, okay, which is good. A friend should just sit back and listen to that sort of thing. But
of course.
But it was exactly what I heard in my mind, her whole entrance, which I won't give too much away about, how her reaction to all of this when she's kind of thinking to herself, but it just was exactly what I had envisioned. So I was really thrilled to hear that. And so going across the road to Sequoia, so I now know how you know each other because you all worked front of house. And I see that you do just a lot of different things with the arts. I mean, just a wide variety. So was this something that directing, is that something that is a favorite thing, or they're all kind of equally speaking to you as ways of expressing, or?
Yeah, totally. I think for me, directing is like very much at the forefront of what I enjoy doing. I do a lot of things of like dance and movement and poetry and film and theater. But for me, directing is like so much being able to be part of everything. You get to have a say in the costumes, have a say in the lights, have a say, but also let these artists like take control and do what they do best, kind of a thing. And you're sort of just guiding everybody. And so I feel like that was sort of a similar thing with this. I was like, these two beautiful singers, I just sort of let them do what they did, and I just like would guide them whatever they needed.
Yeah, no, I can't comment. I was like really eager because I said, okay, it's ready, it's done, I want to see it in advance. But now time is flying so quickly, I guess we'll just wait. But I'm hearing a little bit about your vision for it beforehand. I know it's going to be just absolutely amazing, and so I can't wait to see what happens. And so we get to the one guy crashing the party, not crashing at all. Very important role. There has to be I don't want to call you the villain of the piece, but anyway, I was so excited to get all the specifications of things that you could do, because in writing your couple of lines, okay, he says he can do this, this, and this. Well, I'm going to make him do all those in one phrase. So.
And you did.
So congratulations on that. And I saw you in one of the pictures also doing, she said an audio tech. Is that something that you've learned to do, jack of all trades with the businesses?
Oh, it's something that's kind of crept back up. It's funny because it's I think it comes back, it goes back to like playing in bands in high school and recording CDs in my in my like basement of my house, and kind of figuring out that way. And I would hate to listen to those things, now and hear what quality it was and everything, using all the free equipment we could. So it's just something, that from very early music point for, in my life, I've just kind of been doing and figuring out. I am not an expert by any means. That's why we had the brilliant Chris Foss to take what I did and go, good job, Justin, and then turn it into something so professionally, sounding everything. But I was definitely happy, to contribute in any way that I could, and I was very. It was a very unique experience to kind of be in the room. It's not just a little snippet of recording. I heard Anna and Katie, perform this full out, multiple times, and just so it's like I got to hear multiple live, performances of it,
Mm-hmm.
So that was really unique and really cool.
Yeah. So obviously this whole virtual thing was the other really unusual element, or I guess it's getting to be usual these days, but is a little bit strange, I think, for everybody. And I'll mention now Elise Parker, who is the violinist and is homeschooling or supervising, and so she wasn't able to join us today. But she talked about the idea of it being like riding a roller coaster in the dark. This whole thing of because there are places that I think really could have been much easier with a conductor, but there wasn't one. So everybody had to sort of figure that out. But can you guys talk about the whole virtual collaboration experience? Even, I don't know, Jenny, if you would have, ordinarily, I guess we would have maybe sat down and had coffee and talked a little bit about, something. But would anybody who would like to go first with the whole doing virtual opera thing? Should I pick on somebody? Oh, did you raise your hand, Katie? Okay.
Oh, I did, but let's let Jenny go.
Okay.
Oh, I was just going to say that I talked about this a little bit in my interview with Kelly the other day, but it was pretty amazing to watch it pass through everyone's hands, to start this thing, and then you came along, Maria, and added the music, and then Sequoia had the direction and the ideas for how it would look. And I feel like the process has been, well, of course, there's challenges that come with it being virtual. It's also been this incredible showing of all these different kinds of talents coming together, and we really are greater than the sum of our parts. We've really come together to create something that stands on its own and has its own wings and can fly, and I'm really excited to see it enter the world in that way.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Katie?
Yeah, I think Jenny really covered it. I think the one thing that was really fascinating to me was the timeline about what I needed to have prepared when was different than if you're doing it. Of course it would be, but what was interesting to me is you'd always prepare the music on your own. And I did miss getting to coach something live, but thankfully, Maria, I'm so grateful you hopped on Zoom with me to talk about a couple moments where I, especially those non-conducted moments where I said, how do you handle that? It was so helpful. But I think Kelly and your whole team at AOT and Sequoia and Jenny and Maria, how communicative you were made it feel like we were connected, even though we were virtual. But what was really interesting to me that I'm actually excited to continue working in to even live performing was so much of the dramatic choices had to be made in advance of ever sitting down with my peers, my other performers, or my director here, because we were going to record the audio, and what was in my voice is what I was going to have to work with later. And so it was really it was fascinating to kind of make those. A roller coaster in the dark is quite a statement. I don't know that I felt like I was on a roller coaster in the dark, but it did feel like, I was kind of just going to make these choices. I didn't know how Anna was going to say certain responses, but I was going to respond to how I think she may have. And it was really exciting. And it was really kind of interesting as the pieces came together, how organically and naturally they did fit, and how, you know, with this much communication, there is such a great opportunity for collaboration, even virtually. I think it expands your creativity about how to do it, but I think in a really positive way. It forces you to really stretch that muscle. That's my thing.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think just to kind of fishtail off of what Kay said about making the decisions beforehand. That is the weirdest part. And this, Maria, you kind of like made the decision for me, which is fantastic. It's like E, G, like there's a limited amount of ways to do that, but I'm not used to that. I'm not used to planning out things in advance. It's like I'm definitely someone who like I'm totally comfortable making mistakes in the rehearsal room, because my brain's trying to figure out all the different things, and I've kind of given up on the pretending that that I'm good at doing 5 things at once, and then I'll do 5 things at once in the performance. The end, and it's just, and this is I'm not used to making those decisions without the energy of others, and that's so different, and it really makes me want to talk more to people that have more experience in film and everything, because I imagine that it's a very similar experience. I was listening to podcast of Mark Marion, WTF, incredible podcast, and everything. But interview with Toni Collette, and it just kind of, they were talking about how how visceral and comfortable she is getting into these visceral emotions. And then it just kind of struck me. It's like, she's not in a rehearsal room for a month. Yeah, I'm not, Toni Collette's up here, right? Like above the screen, kind of thing. But it just kind of struck me like that work is done. It seems that when there's a camera involved, that work is done again without other people's energy. That's to some extent, and that's really different to me. Maybe Sequoia has something to say about that, since.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but Kelly, you look like you're trying to say something, and then I'll go to Sequoia.
Yeah,
after
well,
that.
I was gonna add into that, and actually, I was also going to lend it over to Sequoia as well.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this all together. The best part of this was actually being able to. We did it all separately, so we weren't all kind of in room. The whole group wasn't all in one room together at a time, but we had a lot of chance to talk about the conversation of, okay, we do this again, would the process be different? What's the best way to do this? As we're learning as we go, which, we talk that it's stressful to do it like this, but it's art. It's always stressful. Like it's always an adventure. It's always a production. It feels the same way in that. And so a point that I think I've shared with all of you already too, is that this still embraces live theater. We weren't chopping and editing and cutting, and it wasn't like that. It was still raw. It's still very real. And even though it's coming through a screen, I think the audience will still feel, especially how Sequoia shot it, which is why we, get it over to them to talk about how they directed it. But you are very much in it. And again, it's a different type of energy, but it does still embrace that excitement and that realness. It is still authentic. Yeah, Sequoia, you're on the spot now. Everyone wants to hear from you.
Yeah. I think having a background in theater and a background in film, I really knew sort of where everyone was coming from. And with film, it is very interesting, as Justin sort of brought up, is most things happen in a recording studio and you're sort of by yourself when you record this audio. You might have someone in the next studio next to you that you can hear, but you're never usually next to them like you are in live theater. And so for this piece, it was so interesting because Katie and Anna recorded audio in 2 separate I mean, the same day, but they didn't ever be with each other. They never had heard each other sing it. And I had only heard a little bit. And it was just so interesting to sort of see their growth alone, being like, okay, I'm singing this thing. I'm listening to myself sing it. And when we recorded it, we recorded the actual like videography part of it. We would play back the audio that Chris had already magically set up in, you know, less than a week from our recording. Again, speedy process. And so all the audio that you hear is done outside of the actual recording. So all the sounds that you hear, we have a little Lego dropping. I mean, Kelly and Justin are now Foley artists because every sound that you hear that we had made, either with the voices of the cast among us or with opening doorknobs and pre-recording the shower turning on and all of these things. And so it was fun to like have a little bit of insight on my side, but then share it with everybody of being like, what if we did this? Or even Kelly was like, oh, if I dropped it differently, it made a different noise. And like all these sort of like things that you sort of don't think about in live theater become so heightened in film.
Mm-hmm. Well, Anna, you're the only one who hasn't weighed in on the, so I don't want to put you on the spot, but is there anything you'd like to add about your experience?
Honestly, I mean, everything has pretty much been covered. I want to, you know, piggyback off of, you know, what Katie and Justin were saying. It was, I'm a person that feeds off of, you know, the energy of other people. And it's also way different to do multiple takes within one afternoon versus doing the same show every night. I feel like, you know, I can make it fresh for myself every night. I can, you know, again, everyone is coming into the theater with different experiences that day. And then you adjust accordingly, or, you know how to put on the same show every night. It's definitely a different skill to do that versus having to do, you know, one take of a very emotional journey and then be like, okay, that was a good take. Let's now just back up and do it again. That was really challenging for me. And then, yeah, having to commit to, okay, that's how I did it. That's how I recorded it. So now that's how I have to do it every single time when, again, I like to bring in different nuances every time I do something. And I just wasn't able to do that. It was challenging. It's really, you know, I love a good challenge. So it was challenging. I enjoyed it, but it was, it was tough.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
Well, I'll say, you know, from my standpoint, even though like writing the music is different than actually playing it. So, you know, I mean, composing and then having to speed learn it myself. And I'm right with you, Anna. I like to live with music for a while, and then you live with it, then you don't play it, and then you know, there's first performance, and then you really feel like you know it as you go from there. And even though I can't say I have a wide range of experiences with playing my own compositions, because to be honest, like as far as thinking myself as a composer, I've only really thought of myself as a composer for about 2 years, and I thought about it and I thought, you know, I started writing music way before that, and I always did a lot of arranging. But so I'm saying that to say that as far as living with my own pieces and they, you know, growing as well, even though they came out of me, is still a process, and you know how comfortable you feel. So I was glad to have developed a few audio editing skills along the way, because you know, there's a lot of pages, I couldn't turn all of them, and I had to like cut and splice, and you know, it's always the experience of live music is that, of course, you may make a mistake here and there, but emotionally speaking, you know, just having the emotional commitment to the situation, you know, that's a bigger aspect of it than, okay, well, I'm recording this. Oh, missed a note. Oh, okay, do this again. This section is tricky. I don't want to have to do it 10 times. And then doing it in my house also, you know, my son is upstairs, and you know, it's like having to have everybody be quiet. Oh no, my neighbor's mowing the lawn, you know. So it was a really kind of different thing. I guess I've gotten sort of used to doing all these things from my living room since March. So yeah, it's becoming like sitting in this spot and talking to people and just staring at a computer has become not as weird as it was. But yeah, this whole virtual world on one hand is okay for me in the sense that, okay, I am in my living room. I don't have to, find someone to be with my son. But on the other hand, I can't react. I love the interplay of, here's the singer's taking a breath, I'm breathing with them, the violinist is making this phrase. And another thing I was aware of, now I'm sort of interviewing myself. Anyway, another thing that I was aware of was the time limit, so that we only had 11 minutes, and there were things that I'm sort of aware, okay, I could breathe a little bit here, but then it's like, okay, I don't want to be too long. And this tempo really has to stay that fast because, we don't want to run out of time and all those sorts of things. So in a live performance, obviously you wouldn't have those issues. I was talking with Katie about this one section, which is kind of excited, it's excited, but I was like, didn't want to be quite Gilbert and Sullivan-y, but, I think we found a balance, maybe, hopefully. You guys didn't seem to keel over from lack of air, so I guess we're okay. Anyway.
Yeah, that was the funniest. I remember saying, what are your feelings on this tempo? And I hadn't known about the time limit. And you said, it's gotta be that. And I was like, great. Yes.
Well, as I said, that was the one moment that I was like, oh man. And it was fast for me too. But anyway, if we ever do it live, I relax the tempo just a little bit if we ever do it live. So, and you guys.
Well, if we ever do it live and need it.
Pardon me.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, if we ever do it live and need a cover, my husband knows it by heart now. So.
I bet. Yeah. So, I guess another cool thing, Kelly, if you can talk a little bit about, you said that your opera company is only 2 years old or is not 3 years old. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not 3. Yeah, it actually hasn't even been 2 years since our very first production. So it feels longer in a good way, but yeah.
Yeah. So can you talk just a little bit about the process of even having this opera company that led to this production?
Sure. I'll try not to go on too long because, as I've warned you, I'm very passionate about it, and I could easily talk about this for a long time. But my background is in performance, and which didn't last very long. And then this type of work kind of fell in my lap with other organizations, and I found that this is what I love to do. So it actually started with I was not planning on starting an opera company this early in my career in life. But we're very lucky for all the arts funding that is here in Minnesota and actually continues even through this. And so I had applied for a individual artist grant to just see if I could produce an opera from the ground up and be like, great, if it's successful, that's something I'll look into in 10 years or whenever. And so that was what our very first production was. It was a story about immigration. It was a new production of The Consul, who I think, this whole group knows. Because it's my belief, and it's only been, more ingrained, but, I love opera. I love this art form. I was tired of seeing how it was presented and how stale that had become, and how exclusive it was, and purposefully so. I was kind of over the, again, I won't rant on this too much, but I was getting tired of, well, we have discounted ticket prices, or all are welcome in here. And it's so much more than that. It needs to be so much more than that. It needs to be how it's presented, and who you are allowing to present it, and whose voices you are allowing to tell a story, and what stories you're choosing to tell. And so that's kind of what this came about, how this came about, in our first piece. It was so inspiring to see that I didn't think I was the only one who thought that, but we had to have the whole artistic community, at least here in the cities, come out and support that so enthusiastically in our very first production. We were overbooked for our first auditions. I'm like, how do people even know about this? We just posted something on Facebook.
Wow.
And then we sold out for our first production, and just the enthusiasm. And I thought for a while, I was like, well, we're the new kids on the block. You know, maybe people are just curious, but that hasn't changed. And we've been able to continue to grow, and you know, it's because of the community behind us, both artistically and our donor base and our patron base, that gets me out of bed every morning. That's what's so inspiring about it, is I don't feel like I'm doing it alone. You know, our mission of bringing social justice works to the stage to bring awareness and continue conversation. That's a mission that, as long as we can go, we will go and we will do it. You know, it's an ever evolving vision and mission of the company. So, you know, and the works that we've done, that's why everything is ingrained in that mission. You know, we always come back to that, you know, and we try to listen to our community. You know, what can we share? What's an important story for us to share right now? How can we present it in a way that invites and engages more communities into it? And so again, I won't go on it too long, but this project, again, we were just so honored to be asked in the first place to join these 8 other companies from around the country, companies that are much more seasoned than we are, and to have that experience, even just to learn from these other organizations, and doing new works is something that is definitely on our list in the years to come. And so that's why I said, well, let's just do it now. Like, it was in the 5-year plan, but let's just make it in the 2-year plan. Like, we're just going to shift, because this is the best way to learn. And, you know, again, already having people around that I'm like, okay, if people are going to do it, here's my list of people that I will check with first and see if they'll do it with me. Which is the best part of making art in the first place. So yeah, that's how it kind of came to be. And I will mention too that most of the stories in the DOC and the Decameron are, you know, updated versions from the Decameron opera. Obviously ours is not. And they were very open to working with us on that. It'd be like, you know, we'd love to be a part of this, but this is the story we think that needs to be told, you know, and shared right now. So I'm also thankful that they worked with us on tying that into all the other stories that are part of this collaboration.
And is the Opera Coalition something that will keep going, or is it just specific to this situation? Or do you know yet? Or do they know?
The plan is to keep it going. The plan is to continue, because all of the organizations involved would be considered smaller opera companies across the country, and so we're the organizations that are willing to take the bigger risks, and we can. And we're all organizations that are able to stay malleable and flexible during this time, which is kind of how this, you know, was all able to be. And it's just a really wonderful group of collaborative people sharing ideas and resources. And so, yeah, the goal is, once this rolls out, which again, all starts on Friday. We'll
Friday at 8.
Yeah, I know.
8 Eastern time. 8 Eastern time. And 7 Central.
Yeah, exactly. That is the whole thing with virtual productions, is like, okay, all the time zone times. Yeah.
Well, but you can see it anytime, really. If you have a ticket, you can watch it. Anything that has been debuted, and it all stays up until December 31st. I have to keep saying that, and people say, "Oh, I'm busy." And it's like, well, no, you're not really. You just won't see it right when it rolls out. So get your ticket. $15 for like 4 weekends of opera, and it's half an hour approximately, or each one is a little bit longer than that, but you know, no opera is longer than 11 minutes. We're the ones pushing the boundaries. Some will be shorter, but yeah, it's so I guess another thing that I think about a lot, and I'm sure you guys who are actively involved in the arts think about a lot, is just, you know, where do we go from here? I mean, the virtual collaboration is something that perhaps will be a thing for a while. I mean, I have things that are scheduled to be virtual in May, you know, things, and people are still looking at that as, you know, not knowing what will happen next. How are you guys managing that aspect of things? I mean, are you finding ways are you innovating, or are you finding that a lot of your opportunities have been more innovative and you've had opportunities even though everything is so virtual? I guess I'll, yeah, Katie.
I'll dive in. Yeah, so it's actually been, of course, a very challenging time for all of us, but what you're talking about with the innovation is what's been exciting about it for me. So for the past 3 years, I've been a filmmaker in addition to being an opera singer. And it's, we talked about this a lot as we were working on this. I also edited our piece, and it's so exciting to get to be challenged to bring all of yourself to your work, right? And as opposed to having kind of these separate compartments of my life. Today I'm an opera singer, today I'm directing film, today I'm editing film. The opportunity to bring it all together has been really exciting. And I know for myself, my husband and I worked on, we decided, a lot of opera companies put out the call to film your recitals. And I think a lot of folks who, for lack of, none of us have this gear or equipment necessarily handy, will just set up an iPhone. And we decided we'd like to take it a step further. And we did a fully filmed 4-camera setup, a beautiful recital that he put on. And now we're showing that virtually coming up. And it's very exciting to have the opportunity to create this music that we love in a new medium that allows you to kind of draw the eye where you want it to go. I'm actually filming next week 2 new productions that I'm so excited about, and it's a different level of brain activity in a way. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but what you said about no, actually, no, you're not busy is ironically true and false at the same time for me, because when you're virtual, you never really can say, I'm busy, I can't do that, because everybody knows you're not busy. It's COVID. And it's meant that I feel like I'm working more than I ever did when I just had a job to go to rehearsal and come home at night. But it's opened up such an exciting opportunity to, like I said, bring all of what you can do. Justin is our audio tech, and Sequoia is wearing 17 million hats. There's not even room on her head for more. And Anna has an incredible podcast and is an incredible artist in so many different facets. So it's exciting to get to, in some ways, when all the structure disappeared, it kind of opened the door for boundless creation, which that part to me is exciting. So.
Yeah. Sequoia, go ahead. Sequoia.
Yeah, really quick, jumping off of Katie. It's interesting because this project for me is jumping into something new. I've never directed an opera. Opera has never been like my go-to thing. It always felt something like inaccessible to me, or I just wasn't a part of that field. And Kelly gave me the call and was like, do you want to direct an opera? It'll be a film. And I was like, well, I do film a little bit and I directed some things.
Yeah.
Well, sure, why not? Like it was so much on a ledge for me. But I know Kelly, and I knew that Kelly trusted me and I trusted Kelly. And so within that, we sort of created this beautiful piece. And I find that myself doing more and more things that I wouldn't have done, and saying yes to opportunities that I probably wouldn't have said yes to in the past, because I was like, that's not what I do. I have other things, other people have other things that I do. And I'm already doing this thing, I'm already in this play, or I'm already doing this thing. But now I'm not, that's not happening right now. And so it's so exciting to be able to, branch out and explore what possibilities we all have within ourselves.
Yeah. And, and I keep on thinking about like the innovation, aspect of things and everything. And I think for me personally, like there was this like mental turning point when this is pretty recently, when all the articles started coming out about how, no theaters will be closed until 2022. And like my initial reaction was grief, but then I realized it was grief as like kind of an empathetic response to people, to the people on the Met roster, like, God, that is so devastating. Right. But then I started thinking, I'm like, I'm not going to sing at the Met. I'm like, this actually like is an incredible moment especially for this whole generation of singers that grew up on MTV. Like, I didn't get into music by going to live theater. I didn't have that experience, and everything. I got into music by sneaking MTV and VH1 while my parents were, making dinner or at work or something, and like just
Let's
experiencing
hear it for
all these
pop-up
different
video.
times. Right? That was my music history class. No, that's you know, but you know, which is funny to think, but it's so true, and there's been a number of really for me really pivotal virtual performances that have come out. Yeah, I'm thinking of and this is like me admitting that I'm terrible with names because I can remember every second of the recital, but the Lakes Area Music Festival bass baritone give a recital, but it was like this thing where, you know, this also goes back to Maria, what you were talking about you know, mistakes in recording and being able to go back. This was like a one take live recital, not the fourth take spliced in, everything perfect. Like his voice cracked, you know?
Yeah. Deshaun Burton, right, honey? Deshaun Burton.
And, you know, and yeah, I mean, like I just have this like visceral memory of that recital because it was the first time. This was like maybe 3.5, 4 months in, more than that probably. This is August, but you know, but that was the first time that I was like, oh yeah, you can be virtual and be live, you know. Mm-hmm. And you can do that. You know, just this week I watched there's this amazing prog band called OCs, the OCs. You know, check them out. They have 22 albums, so you're not going to run out of music. So, but they just put on this. They put on a concert in a, you know, dusty parking lot in San Francisco, and they had a whole recording team and everything. And I've seen them a number of times. I felt like I was there. You know, so I think as this progresses, artists are becoming more and more dedicated to the innovation and realizing that there's something familiar in the innovation from our youth, you know, and I think that's going across the board. And so there's this whole, you know, whatever, you know, the kind of first generation professionals, you know, that are like kind of within 10 years of you know, graduating or whatever, you know, first 10 years of the career. They have like this very recent memory of what experiencing and consuming art from a TV, from a screen feels like, and how good that can feel actually.
Well, I think one thing is anybody anywhere can watch what you're doing live if you're doing it live, as opposed to, you know, oh, I can't make it to the concert, and, you know, and not everything is recorded, right? So, you know, they miss it. And so I know for, you know, my mom who lives in Canada, she's excited about the fact that she's been able to watch me perform more since this than she ever could before, you know, and it's not just the audio, like I might tape the audio, but getting a really good video of it wasn't always part of the equation. But I think now more people are dedicated to making sure that there's a video, because how else are you going to share it with people? And I'm hoping that, you know, these platforms that, I mean, I was a little concerned at first when, you know, it was nice when people like Chris Martin started doing these live from home things, and all these really famous people like John Legend were giving it away. And I was like, okay, this is cool. Maybe we need to figure out a way to do this and other people can see it and we can actually, I don't know, get paid. But I'm hoping that even moving forward, even as people will be able to congregate in the same place without having, you know, to be afraid. It seems so weird though, you know, every time I see something of a crowd of people, I always feel a little bit weird now. But anyway, hopefully this aspect of live streaming will continue, and we can continue to reach out other audiences. I thought it was interesting, Sequoia, when you said, you know, I never really thought of myself as being into opera, or, you know, or not being so much, you know, feeling like opera is something you would connect with. And just having the experience of, you know, something that doesn't have to be necessarily like, you know, the ivory tower thing. And I very much agree with that, Kelly, that idea that, you know, you become this niche market that is supposed to be elevated above everything else. And then you forget that, you know, Mozart was doing things for, you know, like his Singspiel, which was for so-called the common people in the common house, the magic flute. And, you know, it's just to me has been silly for a long time that classical music has made itself something that is unapproachable. I mean, like, where's the sustaining power in that? You know, you need to not just to reach new audiences, but just to make people realize that, to me, it's like, okay, there are different languages you can speak, and you can talk about love in, you know, you talk about progressive art. I mean, I'm a big fan of all kinds of popular music. And, you know, I mean, obviously some genres I like better than others, but, you know, I mean, that's something that I exposed to my kids, to all these different kinds of music, and they were forced to listen to me practice the piano. So they got the classical all day, every day. But yeah, I mean, I think that it's important to tell contemporary stories in ways that people feel like, you know, they can relate to. And it's just a different way of saying I love you. You say it with, you know, your Stevie Wonder, you say it, or, you know, say it in whatever different ways. So I'm glad that you felt that you could be drawn in, and I don't create a hierarchy in my own mind of, well, this is the really good music and this other music is, you know, inferior and whatever. I mean, they can touch us in different ways on different days. And yeah, so the activity is again, I live in a house and my daughter has to go somewhere. So if you hear like doors closing, that's Jenny, were you going to say something?
I just wanted to tack on to that, Maria. I love what you said about having it start as love. You know, that's what, and I really think, I know it sounds a little cheesy maybe, but I really think that the purpose of art is to connect people to the experience of being human, and to connect people to each other and to this world and the experience of being alive. And I think that pieces that invite, or cultures around an art form that invite people in and invite them to enter it in a way that feels authentic and real, so that they can also feel passionate or feel connected to these causes or the experience of other people in a way that they might not have been able to inhabit that before. I think it's so valuable. And so I just really appreciate what you said there.
Well, before we wrap this up, because I don't know if we have to go exactly to an hour. I mean, and we seem to have lost Justin. I'm not sure where he went, but I guess he'll be back if he wants to come back. I'll let him back in. Does anybody have any other comments, or do you have questions for me? Since I guess I'm part of this as well. Or you know, before we close this down. No, we covered everything.
I'm hoping that you work with AOT some more and Jenny some more to make some more operas that we have the opportunity to sing and film. That is my personal hope.
Oh, well, I'm down. If I'm asked, I will make it happen. So yeah, it's exciting to me too. As I said, I mean, this was a big leap for me to do an opera, even, you know, a short opera. And, you know, I'm the idea of doing something bigger is really, really kind of scary, but then doing this was kind of scary. So I'm open. Yeah, let's do it. You know, you guys are a wonderful, wonderful group. And I was just so happy when I went to the various pages to listen to the singers that Kelly had gotten. And I was, you know, oh, okay, there he is.
I got moved back. I don't know what happened.
Oh, that's weird.
Okay, well, he's back. I didn't even have to let him back in the room. Anyway, okay, well, I was just saying, Justin, if anybody had anything else that they wanted to say before we end, you know, anything further comments, questions for me, or whatever you'd like.
Just a comment that your writing is incredible. Like it's not very often that a MIDI file makes me like moved. But that is definitely the case. Is like I can hear this, like I get it, you know, from the beep boop beep, from that.
Yeah, well, thank you. I can't wait to share this. I mean, we're so lucky at AOT to always be surrounded by always innovators, no matter what time it is, and collaborators. But there's something about this that, I don't know if it was the time and it was just so emotional creating it and being able to do it together, although in a new and different way. I mean, but I cried the first time I read the libretto, Jenny. I cried the first time I heard the music. And again, not even with everything together, but there's so much emotion, there's so much truth, there's so much rawness in just this 11 minutes. Like it almost, I mean, I know Jenny, you have said that like, okay, it felt like nothing to do it in 11 minutes when I'm writing like a big novel. Maria, I know you have different viewpoints on that of like hard to have the time limit sometimes. But I think it opens it up for so much focused truth in that amount of time, and just having everyone's, again, as you to, you know, kind of bring it full circle to what you said at the beginning, everyone's hands have touched it in one way or another. And it will forever be that, no matter what its future is, whether it goes, if it's able to, you know, be done live at some point, or, you know, different versions along its journey, it will forever be this first group that touched it and molded it and created it. It took a very real story. And I also want a quick shout out, I know Jenny, you would want to too, is we worked with Women's Advocates on this, which is an amazing organization based in St. Paul. It was actually the very first shelter for women and children escaping domestic violence in the 1974, I think is when they officially came to be. But Brennison Wheeler at Women's Advocates helped us greatly in molding this story, and then adding the words, and then Maria, your music. Again, we could go, I know we're nearing our hour, so I could gush about this for a really long time, but it's because of this group of people right here that that we have the work that we do. So thank you.
Well, I hope that, you know, I'm talking to whoever will see this video. I hope that you do tune in on October 23rd. There are 2 other companies presented that night. Milwaukee, remind me.
Milwaukee Opera Theater. And then opera, which is in Milwaukee, and then Opera in the Heights, which is down in Houston, Texas.
Yeah, but the whole experience starts on Friday, and I should mention really quickly the preamble, or there's a section that will include characters from each of the operas, and Anna is our representative. So I have no idea what that will be. So I'm looking forward to finding out how they did that. Can you just say, like, in like 2 minutes, since I guess I'm going to go for a whole hour. Like, what was that? Do they take, I mean, is it, yeah, tell me a little bit about that, because I have no idea what that is.
Oh, well, it was a lot of extra music that really again, so I should say I don't typically do new music. That's not something that I would say that I have done a lot of. So this whole process for me was such an amazing learning experience, and such an amazing like dive into a genre that I don't typically ever do. So the kind of the opening and closing, so a bunch of characters one character from each show is on this Zoom call, and then so we have this like opening where we're all talking about quarantine and about what that's been like, and then we go into these little recits where we each, you know, someone will say, oh, this is, you know, something that happened to me, and everyone's like, oh, tell us, please tell us, and then it goes into the story. Now, like everyone here, I don't know what that's going to look like. We filmed my little part of it and then sent it in, and they're doing all of the editing, all of the mixing on their end. So I'm also very much looking forward to what that is going to look like, because I have absolutely no idea. But the music was really, really fun. The composers were, you know, their music was tough, but they were extremely gracious and communicative to us, because we all had to learn it in a very short amount of time. And it ended up being, I don't know, a total of like a half an hour of music in total, extra to learn, which was challenging. But again, they were super communicative and really, you know, wonderful in helping me out and learning so quickly.
Well, that's Matt Baresi and Peter Andrew Hilliard. Is that? Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll look forward to seeing what that's all about too. And Thank you so much for taking the double dip. I didn't realize that was something new to you. I'm glad your section is a little bit more tonal, because I think I threw Katie to the wolves completely, but at least you got a key signature, so you were good.
Yes. I was like, this is a nice, like, dipping my toes into some of this, like, a new type of music for sure.
Everything's tonal once you got it in your body. I love singing.
Yeah, there you go. I love that. Well, I guess now we're at an hour. We're even a little over. So thank you so much, everybody, for participating in this. And I'm so looking forward to this Decameron Opera Coalition presentations every Friday at 8 p.m. if you're Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Pacific. I don't know Greenwich Mean. I'm not sure what that is. But you can watch it until December 31st. Anybody who buys a ticket for $15 can watch all of the operas, and they will be posted until the 31st of December. So go out and enjoy. It's wonderful, wonderful stuff, a wide variety of music, a wide variety of companies. And I know it's going to be just an exciting, memorable thing every single night of it. So thank you so much for giving this time today, everybody. And thanks to Elise, who couldn't make it, Elise Parker and Chris Foss, who made everybody sound great. And I'm looking forward to it, looking forward to the next time we have a chance to do something together, all of you guys. So thanks again.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you, Maria.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.